Emma sat at the table, surrounded by neatly stacked papers, her pen moving lazily across one of them. She wasn't entirely focused on her calculations, though. Her eyes kept drifting to Ryan. He was pacing the room, his tall frame tense as he argued into his phone. "No, you're not listening," Ryan snapped, his deep voice filled with frustration. "It's not my job to clean up your mess, all right? Figure it out yourself." He ended the call sharply, tossing his phone onto the couch. Emma leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs slowly. She took a moment to study him, his strong jaw clenched in frustration, the way his shirt hugged his shoulders. There was something magnetic about his energy, even in his irritation. "Trouble in paradise?" she asked, her voice light but teasing. Ryan shot her a look, his dark eyes narrowing slightly. "Just work," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. Emma smirked, twirling the pen between her fingers. "Work's got you this wound up? I almost feel sorry for whoever's on the other end of that call." He let out a short laugh, shaking his head. "Yeah, well, not everyone gets to sit around doing math all day." She arched an eyebrow, leaning forward slightly. "Careful, Ryan. I might think you're jealous." Ryan's gaze flicked to her, lingering for a second too long. "Of sitting at a table? Not exactly my dream." Her lips curved into a slow, mischievous smile. "Maybe not, but you've been sneaking glances at me all night. You sure you're not just looking for an excuse to talk to me?" His smirk faltered for a moment, replaced by something darker, more intense. "Maybe I'd just like the distraction," he said, his voice softer now, almost daring. Emma closed the distance, sliding onto the couch beside him. Her knee brushed against his, a deliberate move, and she pretended not to notice as she settled in. "So, what's really going on? Or are you just going to keep sulking and looking pretty while you pace?" Ryan laughed, a deep sound that seemed to rumble through the room. "Looking pretty, huh? Didn't realize I was auditioning for compliments tonight." She tilted her head, her hair falling over her shoulder as she gave him a mock innocent look. "Who says it's a compliment? Maybe I just enjoy watching you stress out." Ryan leaned back, resting an arm casually along the back of the couch. His hand was close, too close, and she couldn't help but feel the faintest shiver of awareness. "Careful, Emma," he murmured, his voice low. "Teasing me might backfire." "Teasing?" she echoed, her tone feigning surprise. "You think I'm teasing?" He didn't respond right away, his gaze dropping briefly to her lips before meeting her eyes again. The tension between them was palpable, charged with something unspoken but undeniable. "You're enjoying this," he finally said, his voice quieter now. "Maybe," she admitted, leaning just slightly closer. "But so are you." The playful banter faded into silence, but the tension remained, sharper now. Emma's breath hitched slightly as Ryan's fingers brushed against hers, a fleeting touch that sent a jolt of heat through her. "Emma," he said, her name sounding heavier, almost reverent, on his lips. "Yes?" she asked softly, her voice steady despite the rapid pounding of her heart. He hesitated, as though fighting an internal battle. But then he leaned in, his hand lightly grazing her thigh. "You've been in my head all night," he admitted, his voice low, rough. "And I can't tell if I should thank you for it or hate you for it." Emma's pulse quickened, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she tilted her head, her lips curving into a slow, inviting smile. "Why choose?" she whispered. "You could just give in." The space between them seemed to shrink, their breathing mingling as the unspoken pull grew stronger. His hand stayed where it was, warm and steady, while her fingers lightly traced the edge of his. "You're dangerous," Ryan murmured, his tone laced with both admiration and warning. "And you're irresistible," Emma countered, her voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, the world outside faded completely. All that mattered was the way they leaned into each other, the way every touch, every glance, felt like a spark waiting to ignite. As their foreheads almost touched, Ryan exhaled slowly. "Emma, I don't know where this leads, but—" "Stop thinking," she interrupted gently, her voice warm but firm. And just like that, the hesitation between them dissolved. In that moment, all they wanted was to be close, the weight of their desire finally breaking free as they gave into the pull neither of them could deny.